Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez are in concussion protocol. Danhausen's curses continue to create havoc, and Pat McAfee makes a curious return. All this and more in this episode of This Week in WWE, What Mattered. The biggest talking point came from the opening of SmackDown, where Randy Orton opened the show in his hometown of St. Louis, Missouri, talking about how Stephanie McMahon was right when she told Cody Rhodes that he couldn't beat Randy because he's not a killer. Cody's music hit, he made his way down to the ring, and him and Randy brawled until none other than Pat McAfee made his WWE return and kicked Cody in the balls. He was wearing a black shirt and had shades on, and said that the fans that launched the business to its peak, the Attitude Era fans, have been forgotten about. He then referenced the fact that one of SmackDown's recent episodes is one of the lowest rated, if not the lowest rated of all time, and also alluded to the fact that there was still WrestleMania tickets available despite a massive star like Randy Orton main eventing. He basically buried the current product and said that Randy Orton is going to save the business. There has been all kinds of hate for this angle online, but for me personally, I just feel a bit confused. The rumours flying around online is that TKO have insisted in adding Pat McAfee into this storyline to help boost ticket sales leading up to WrestleMania, as they see him as a big star with a lot of potential and someone who can drive ticket sales. And whilst I can somewhat understand this, because I know that Pat McAfee is very charismatic, he's very entertaining, whether you like him or hate him, I do think WWE is better when he is around. This just feels like a really random place for them to insert him. Although I don't personally align with what Pat McAfee was saying in his comments, I can understand how they might be relatable to a certain group of fans. But that doesn't change the fact that it just feels weird that it's coming from him, especially as we all know that he is a big fan of the business. He loves pro wrestling, he's talked about it at length on his podcast and on WWE television when he's been a commentator, and he's clearly enjoying himself. So for him to now basically do a 180 and bury the whole modern business is really strange. To me, it feels like right message, wrong messenger. And although we may all be getting worked, this might have been the plan for a long time, it does feel quite strange that Pat has been inserted in here. I mean, if we think back to one of Randy's earlier promos where he teased Michael Cole about who he was on the phone with, he said, "Wrestling has more than one royal family." What the hell has that got to do with Pat McAfee? I am willing to let this play out. This could turn into something really interesting and really good in the long term. I'm not going to bury it outright, but right now it just feels weird. It just feels forced. And especially when there's so much history between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, it's quite weird how we've ended up in this situation just a couple of weeks out for their big match at WrestleMania. Moving on, we saw Rhea Ripley defeat Michin by submission by utilising the Prism Trap, which is the first time she's used that in a while, and whilst using the submission hold, she had locked eyes directly with her WrestleMania opponent, Jade Cargill. Rhea was then once again beaten down by B-Fab Michin and Jade Cargill, but this time she was saved by her best friend, Io Sky, and the two fought them off. Trick Williams came to the ring with Lil Yachty to celebrate his first ever WrestleMania match, but not without being interrupted by United States champion Sami Zayn and then Carmelo Hayes shortly thereafter. Trick reminded Sami that he's the only reason that he's now the United States champion, and Sami Zayn did admit to Carmelo Hayes that he was fortunate enough to be able to take advantage of that situation. Although he was clearly in two minds, Sami eventually reluctantly agreed to defend his United States championship later in the night against Carmelo Hayes. Damian Priest and R-Truth retained their WWE Tag Team Championships against Kit Wilson and The Miz, with a little assist from Danhausen's curse. And this was really funny because The Miz basically had the match won. He made the cover for the pinfall, the referee counted 1, 2, and then he just started screaming in agony. He was holding his arm in the air and clutching his arm. He just couldn't make the 3 count because of the Danhausen curse on The Miz previously. As I was watching in real time, I laughed out loud when this happened. It was such a funny moment, and Danhausen is proving to be pure gold as usual. Then straight after this match, Cody Rhodes made his way into the ring and cut what seemed like a shoot promo where he absolutely buried the Pat McAfee reveal from earlier in the night. He likened it to the famous reveal of the third man of the NWO, saying it would be like, instead of it being Hulk Hogan, it was actually revealed to be Disco Inferno. The rumours online at the time is that this was a complete shoot promo, and Cody was told to go out and deliver that message so that Triple H and Creative can show their frustrations to TKO and the higher-ups who have supposedly insisted on inserting Pat into this main event WrestleMania storyline. But who knows, right? This is pro wrestling. We might all be getting worked right now. I'm not too fussed about whether we are or whether we're not. I'm just hoping that this goes somewhere meaningful and somewhere entertaining. The show then ended with Sami Zayn successfully retaining his United States Championship by defeating Carmelo Hayes. The match ended with Carmelo Hayes tweaking his knee on a landing from the top rope, and the referee was checking on him in the corner, but Sami Zayn hit him with a haluva kick whilst he wasn't looking, and the referee was tending to him, once again taking advantage of a situation to get the win. Although he hasn't turned fully heel yet, Sami is clearly showing shades of grey here. He's now a lot more willing to take advantage of situations which he just wouldn't have done in the past because they didn't line up with his moral compass, whereas now he's seeming a lot more desperate and doing whatever he can to win and now hold on to his championship. Trick Williams then attacked Sami after the match, which I thought was a little bit of a strange choice. I mean, I guess it makes sense now with the way they're both working, but Trick is clearly getting massive babyface reactions, and Sami is very clearly on a heel turn trajectory, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see a double turn at WrestleMania. Before I move on to Monday Night Raw, if you are enjoying this video, please subscribe to this channel and do anything that you can do to support me, whether that's checking out some of my other content, hitting the like button, joining in the conversation below, or just sharing my video with one of your friends. I'm slowly but surely starting to post more varied content. For example, my very first replica belt review video went live on the 7th of April, and that is where I cover the WWE Championship spinner belt. I'm going to be posting one of these every single month, so stay tuned for that if that's something you enjoy. And I've also got a really special video where I discuss my very lucky experience of being able to go to John Cena's final match in person. That's a really cool one that I'm really proud of, so head over to my channel to check that one out. Monday Night Raw began with CM Punk making his way to the ring and explaining that Roman Reigns was chosen because he is safe, plastic and manufactured, unlike him who is unpredictable. He took a shot at The Rock in the process by saying he was a Hollywood superstar. He then referred to Roman Reigns as a buck-toothed nepo baby who ate dog food for a weird old man, which I think was a really funny reference back to the dark times of, I think it was 2019 on SmackDown, where Roman was feuding with Baron Corbin and he was forced to eat dog food. It was such a bizarre time. He also called out Pat McAfee and said that he has got a receipt coming to him. In a similar vein to Cody's promo on SmackDown, a lot of people think this is a shoot promo, and CM Punk has been explaining his genuine feelings that he and some of his colleagues backstage are feeling with TKO sticking their noses into the storyline and creative, especially when it comes to the WrestleMania main event. And again, we might all be being worked here, but at the end of the day, who cares? This works in the context of the storyline, and it works if it's a shoot. So let's just enjoy it for what it is. Austin Theory managed to sneak a win against LA Knight, with ISHO Speed indirectly causing this despite him just trying to stay the hell out of the way. Logan Paul then managed to save Speed from getting one D'd by the Usos before it was announced by Adam Pearce that there will be a 6-man tag team match at WrestleMania, where Logan Paul and Austin Theory are going to be joining forces with ISHO Speed to take on LA Knight and the World Tag Team Champions, the Usos. And once again, Speed's facial reactions of the segment were absolute gold. You can tell here he's just absolutely dug himself into a hole and got himself into a situation that he just can't get out of, and now he's got himself stuck in a WrestleMania match at Vegas, and I'm sure it's going to be really entertaining. Finn Balor was scheduled to have a match against former Judgment Day teammate JD McDonough, but he was attacked when he was making his entrance by Dominic Mysterio and left laying in the ring. Then later in the night we saw a video package from Finn where he said that there's a side of him that Dominic has never seen and he's brought out of him, which he will see at WrestleMania, strongly alluding to the fact that he's going to be returning as the Demon at WrestleMania. There was then a sit-down talk between Women's Intercontinental Champion AJ Lee and Becky Lynch, and this was actually my favourite segment between the two so far. There was no cringiness, there was no over-the-top emotions, this was just two women face-to-face a couple of weeks out before their big match. AJ explained that she was actually proud of Becky and everything that she has done for the business. However, none of it would have happened without her coming beforehand and opening those doors for her. This felt a lot more grounded and real than some of their other segments that we've seen previously, and you could see that AJ's words were getting through to Becky Lynch. Although she didn't break character, you could see it in her eyes and her facial expressions that she was taking on board the words that AJ was saying. Seth Rollins was then explaining how he was trying to figure out how on earth he's ended up in a match with Gunther at WrestleMania, assuming that he must have entered into a business relationship with Paul Heyman. This was revealed not to be the case though, as we saw Paul Heyman thanking Gunther backstage and saying that he owes him a very big favour. But Gunther said he owes him so much more than that. And if I was going to speculate now, this far ahead of time, I'm going to say that this favour is going to ultimately be that Gunther gets to be Brock Lesnar's final opponent in his last match ever at SummerSlam, which is where Brock is going to retire. This makes sense for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, Gunther right now is the career killer. It would make sense for him to retire Brock Lesnar. I think Brock and Gunther is a big match that a lot of people want to see before Brock retires, and this is just an easier way of laying that groundwork. So even if the two were kept far apart up until SummerSlam, Gunther can cash in his favour from Paul Heyman and the match will be made. And I for one hope this is the case, because it would be absolutely criminal to not see that match before Brock finally hangs up the boots. After Penta, Dragon Lee and Javon Evans defeated Los Americanos, we learned that WWE Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio has been added to the Intercontinental Championship ladder match at WrestleMania. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, unsurprisingly, then defeated B-Fab and Michin in a tag team match, but it was the aftermath of this that was the most interesting. Rhea was being held down and forced to watch as Jade repeatedly smashed Io Sky with a kendo stick and then hit her with Jaded. This has added a much needed edge to this feud that doesn't feel forced. Before the inclusion of B-Fab and Michin, it just felt like the promo exchanges between these two were a little bit forced and there was no real substance behind them, whereas now, although the alignment of B-Fab and Michin with Jade felt a little bit out of left field, it's created a bigger obstacle for Rhea to have to get over now, and the fact that they've attacked her best friend and held her down and made her watch has definitely made this feud more interesting. Another big talking point this week is the fact that we saw Liv Morgan talking to Roxanne Perez backstage before Stephanie Vaquer attacked her from behind, and this resulted in Liv and Roxanne's heads viciously clashing together. If you watch this back now, go and find the clip online, you can hear the sound where their two skulls crack against each other. It's absolutely grim. It sounds like someone's just thrown a marble onto some concrete. And this has meant that now Liv and Roxanne Perez are both in concussion protocol, casting a shadow of doubt now over the marquee match for the Women's World Championship at WrestleMania. Liv also shared a picture of her forehead on social media, and the lump is absolutely massive. I obviously hope she gets all the help that she needs, and I really hope that a match against Stephanie goes ahead at WrestleMania, because I'm really looking forward to this one. This feud has been excellent. Raw then ended in pure chaos as the contract signing between Brock Lesnar and Obafemi ended in an all-out assault. Both men were hurled through a table and the ring was filled with security trying to separate the two. This feud has been built absolutely perfectly. They have not put a foot wrong since this match was made official. It's a massive match. They haven't tried to overcomplicate it. This is just two behemoths that people want to see beat the living crap out of each other, and they've done well to really limit their interactions, make them small, and try and keep them apart as much as possible to really build up the tension before they finally clash in Las Vegas. And that'll do it for this week's video. Certainly a lot of talking points this week in WWE, with the potential of TKO and the corporate guys sticking their noses into the WrestleMania main event, potentially for more than the first time, as it's reportedly them that got Travis Scott involved last year, and we all know how that turned out. The Pat McAfee reveal was just strange. I mean, I like the guy, he's very charismatic, and I'm sure he can play this role really well. It just feels like he's been shoehorned in where he's just not needed. But I am willing to let this play out. I'm not just going to outright bury it and say this was terrible. I don't think on the surface of it right now it was a good idea. I certainly don't think it was needed, but it may lead to something really entertaining. We're just going to have to wait and see. Please do let me know your thoughts as well down below in the comment section. I want to know what you guys are thinking as well. Do you think this is just an outright terrible decision and you're not going to give it as much grace as me and let it play out? Do you think the promos from Cody and CM Punk were genuine shoots, or do you think maybe we're getting worked? And once again, if you have enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, like this video, drop a comment down below, check out some of my other content, and do whatever you can to support me. But until next time, see you later.